this second session. Let's have a quick look at what happened in Q1 then. It was John Ferguson out first ahead of Darren Lung, ahead of Richard Neary as the first wave of GT3 machinery hit the track. John Ferguson had clear track space, but the lap time never really came to him, and so that car is going to have to rely on Raffaele Marciello to make progress. We had Mark Sanson sitting in traffic, but he was still doing really good lap times, and he hauled 72 Lamborghini up towards the top of the times. McLarens also were looking competitive, but in the end it was the Barwell Lamborghini in the hands of Sean Balfe that outdid this car of Andrew Howard to go to the top. Andrew Howard looked good, but he got third. Second fastest was James Cottingham right at the very end, and the quickest car in Q1, 78, Sean Balfe in the Barwell run, ahead of Johnny Adam and James Cottingham second, Ross Gunn, Andrew Howard third. Right, so to look at the highlights of Q2, the main highlight of which I think was Raffaele Marciello's rally crossing, but Chris Froggatt was struggling a little bit for pace throughout that 10-minute period. Will Tregertha was hustling along with 72, and Dan Harper looked, as you've come to expect from the Northern Irish driver, very racy indeed. So too Marvin Kirchhofer, another absolutely stellar cast that we have in the Intelligent Money British GT Championship this year. Sandy Mitchell, Lamborghini factory driver, with a tiny slide going into Redgate, then ran over the curb. That lost him a little bit of time. Raffaele Marciello, though, having had his grassy moment, which began with Ginettas heading out onto the circuit at the head of the queue. Quite a few of the teams being a little bit calmer in their release from the pit lane. The GT3 teams were. The Academy Motorsport Mustangs went blasting out and looked quick early on, but in the end, 6th and 12th was where the Grunt and Go Mustangs ended up. Number 80, the Ginetta in the hands of Joe Wheeler, was looking rapid, but 4th was the ultimate reward for that car. 3rd went the way of Jack Brown in the McLaren. And Freddie Tomlinson's Ginetta, which had yo-yoed its way from the top to second to the top. In the end, 2nd it was, and then this was the fastest car of the lot. Josh Rowledge in number 36, the curb hopping lane as well, to make sure that people don't mess up the pit stop time, because you know penalties can come even if you're a fraction of a second under the regulation time. So Q4 got underway with, now we know the background to it, the misfiring porter of Dan Vaughan struggling. Looking quick early on was Darren Burke, who would be 2nd in number 17 McLaren to be 4th on aggregate. 22 BMW put Lewis Plato behind the wheel, and he was able to get that car in the session up to 4th and 8th on aggregate. But Stuart Middleton was one of the real stars of that session, taking the Ginetta by the scruff of the neck, flinging it around Donington to go 3rd in the session, 2nd on aggregate. The fastest time was set by Charles Clark's McLaren, but this car of Josh Rowledge and Aston Miller on pole position in GT4 here at Donington.